Hey up, welcome or welcome back. Now ordinarily of course I wouldn't be putting out new content based upon voiceovers of older B-roll. As I've said on several occasions in the past, I feel as if I'm somehow selling you short when I'm compelled to do so. After all, so much of this channel is based around me being out and about in the beautiful English countryside on one of my 4 motorcycles, often reflecting wistfully on the surroundings or just generally droning on. In fact, this is as close as I'm likely to come to drone footage on this channel. However, for the past 10 days or more, the UK has fallen victim to a meteorological phenomenon known as an anticyclonic gloom. And if I understand it correctly, this situation occurs when an area of high pressure becomes locked over the land and traps low cloudy conditions. As a result, we have had seemingly endless back-to-back grey, gloomy days, shrouded under leaden skies and a moisture-saturated atmosphere. Now, I'm no fair weather motorcyclist. I've spent large parts of my working life commuting in all weathers, and I only ever recall sheet ice or deep snow forcing the use of the boring old car. But the reality of riding and filming in these sorts of conditions is twofold. Firstly, the amount of moisture in the air, particularly over the hills which dominate the landscapes in this part of Yorkshire, plays havoc with the cameras. It's the sort of wet which permeates every nook, cranny and corner, not only of camera equipment but of the rider too. At best, this results in a disruptive and distracting regime of wiping the lens clear every 30 seconds, and at worst results in a camera ceasing to function altogether by basically drowning. The second is that visibility is dramatically reduced, leaving the odd dry stone wall or nearby tree the only points of interest for you, the viewer. The Yorkshire Dales and the North York Moors are indeed the most majestic of landscapes to behold, but if you can't see them for the fog, they become less majestic and more masked and miserable. Not what you want to see, I'm sure. So, for all of those reasons, I'm sure you'll forgive me for resorting to some footage from a couple of years back on my original green Royal Enfield Classic 350. You know, the one I should never have parted company with. This footage is a reminder to me of better times when the world seemed a better place, even such a short time ago. There's nothing like the English countryside on a bright spring or summer day to lift the spirits and reset any latent, lingering sense of misery. But it's almost as if this claustrophobic cape of endless damp greyness has become a metaphor for recent times. And if we're not on our guard, it can lead to a downward spiral into low mood and potentially dangerously low levels of mental health. The seasonal lack of sunlight experienced at this time of year by people living in the northern climes is a proven source of depression in many. So-called seasonal affective disorder, SAD, is visited upon many during the dark months, and I wonder if it has a particular impact upon so-called outdoor types, which of course includes us motorcyclists. So, at the risk of being labelled a hopelessly romantic optimist, dare I suggest that what is required is a timely injection of positivity, perspective and, dare I say, hope. I've noticed in certain quarters of late a distinct lack of these qualities kicking around in the YouTubesphere. That's a made-up word. And we don't need it. It is, after all, corrosive, divisive and utterly futile. I mentioned in a recent video that confrontational and combative discourse seems to attract an unhealthy interest in many, and it's a truly sad reflection of our times that such behaviour is more click-worthy than anything cordial, harmonious or uplifting. What the hell is wrong with us? What have we become? It's a state of affairs that reminds me of my school days back in the 1960s and early 1970s, when hordes of kids in inner city Bradford schools would gather around some poor soul getting a playground kicking from the local bully, and fueled by nothing short of ghoulish bloodlust would cheer away. Not cheer in a partisan way for the individuals involved, but for the spectacle itself. It's at once both juvenile and yet dark and disturbing. I've spent 30 years dealing with conflict at close quarters. It's always disturbing, always ugly, and not without its tragic outcomes. It's a regressive form of expression and hardly ever achieves anything. Of course, there are brave souls serving in our military who have witnessed far worse in 1 week than I did in 30 years. And on this Remembrance Sunday, we hold our thoughts and thanks for their sacrifices close to our hearts. You may have seen in a recent video a ride out I took to the Leeds Pals Memorial just outside of Massam. These shrines are a sober reminder of that which conflict will always serve up, regardless of the victor. When I think of the sacrifices made by these people on our behalf, I'm reminded of the insignificant scale of the positions taken and the honours defended in the mundane world of material possessions and online hubris. I think that the best way to deal with this dark side of human nature, this insane craving for conflict, is to disengage from it completely, to starve it of oxygen. Easier said than done, I know, and I'll be the first to admit being unwittingly drawn into it myself at times. There is a whole spectrum of half-truths playing out there which manifests in selective reporting, exaggerated commentary, mutually expressed opprobrium, and theatrical mudslinging amongst fragile egos. Notions of the truth have become a moving feast, such that all that is left is a swirling miasma of doubt, uncertainty, and mistrust. It's almost as if the truth has become nothing more than a function of the perspectives of the individuals giving voice to it. And there are, I'm sure, some people watching this who would apply that principle to this very diatribe. Believe me, that irony is not lost on me. You probably don't know, but for the last couple of years I've had a little driving job, 2 days a week. It's nothing special, just a minimum wage affair which helps to support this channel. But I enjoy it because it keeps me engaged with reality. Whether I'm delivering to small businesses like care homes and cafes, or larger ones like factories and franchises, I can engage with people from all walks of life in the real world. I hope that this helps to keep me grounded and sane. Well, as sane as I can be. And I worry that one day the natural interaction between human beings in the real world will take second place to the online pseudo-reality of cyberspace. Maybe it's happened already. Now, I'm not saying that all things online are bad. They offer many, often transformative benefits to people, and after all, you're watching this through that very medium. But the key to good relationships between people is balance and tolerance. And we're living in an increasingly unbalanced and intolerant world. It's becoming increasingly hard to get at the truth. And after all, who will arbitrate the truth? Where does the final point of adjudication lie? There is no oracle. There never was. The best we can probably do is to accept that a lie travels halfway around the world before the truth has even got its boots on. And for lie, substitute untruth, half-truth, distorted truth, or opinion. I've always thought that everything happens for a reason, that events in the world are all interconnected in ways that we have yet fully to understand and appreciate. That we often modulate events and outcomes through our actions, deeds and words, and that now, more than at any point in history, we should exercise the utmost care with our assertions, both in the real world and in the keyboard one. But I'd like to close today on something positive. In the last week or so, the number of subscribers to this channel has increased dramatically. In fact, at one point last week there was a subscription increase the likes of which I've not previously seen. Coming as that did on the back of an equally sudden, though much smaller, spasm of unsubscriptions, I was even more convinced that events in life have a way of balancing themselves out. Destiny has an uncanny knack of being able to restore the natural order of things, and so it is that I'd like to sincerely thank not only my long-standing and loyal subscribers, but also those new ones who have invested their faith in me in healthy numbers in recent days. My appreciation for your support is immense, and I will try my hardest not to let you down. I'll see thee.